So, anyone remember how to play this one? Oh wow. It's been a minute, huh? I have finally updated the version though. I think there was a guy who was real mad about that, back when it was a day out of date and not, closer to a year. This was like 4 months ago now though, so I'm guessing I'm behind again. Some people are difficult to please. In the meantime, I'm sure the Bootypedia can get me up to speed. That's what it's called. Apparently, in the downtime, we've become self-important, crazy, and mad. I don't know what caused this. Good to know, I suppose. While we're here, do you want to know what a brainer is? It involves unregistered hypercam too. Oh no, that's something else. Must have broke the unregistered hypercam machine in the downtime. Heck.
Yeah, this is like the holodeck for the man on a budget.
That's a sunset?
That's...
Sunset or apocalyptic wasteland.
I mean,
the
really
settings
low.
need to be tweaked a little bit.
Yo, unregistered hypercam is like my favorite goof. Straight bitten from Retsupre though. In the back here is a something awfully or a long play of the PC Engine Cobra Space Adventure game, which contains some damning evidence.
Bike room, as I call it. Oh.
When I started this series, it was the only JPEG I had handy though, and it made me laugh. That said, this whole time, I've been worried another old was gonna rumble me for joke theft, and yet nobody suspected a thing.
That's kind of rude, but okay.
Censors?
The truth is free. Ahem. Our original brainers are 3 Uber gals who were raised by machines in the bowels of a small space station. Such stations are built by the Academy to turn the best child prodigies they capture into super smart, mutated infotech specialists, to be later sold to the highest bidder. However, when the girls spotted a weird ship drifting nearby, they decided to break out and escape. It was a barely flying wreck though, and it crashed near our base, leaving behind the mysterious, menacing hull, as we call it. Such coincidence seemed very suspicious until they told us about dreaming about the same purple-eyed woman as we did. Now they're all too happy to run our lab, if we put up with their exorbitant expenses and eccentricity, like their disdain for wearing any clothes, since they didn't need any on their station. Genetically engineered super nudists. Okay, I'm starting to remember what it was like here. I'm a trouble-seeking daydreamer who loves axes. That's just good stage direction. And that one's Gears of War. You can tell by the funny weapons and the lack of sleeves. I'm sure the anime heads in the audience catch a few of these, but it's rather I get one. Feeling good. Actually, I probably don't want to know what kind of anime Dioxyne's into. I've only recently come to the conclusion that you can like anime and still be a good person. That's just going to set the program back months. Years even. Speaking of, the other day I got a long comment from someone about Dioxyne's political affiliations. On the one part where I kept calling the man a Nazi for hanging out with Nazis and saying Nazi things all the time. I can't show you the post, but it was clearly from someone of unsound mind. I skim-read part of his rambling about anarchist libertarianism and saw the read more button at the bottom. But when I moused over it, I froze. There was no end in sight. I envisioned the remainder of the comments stretching out before me, like an ocean. I saw it spilling from the screen in a great deluge. I was washed away, drowned in it. And then I realized I was at a crossroads. I could still choose not to do it. After what could have been a minute of deep soul reflection, I said, "Nope," out loud and pressed the block button instead. Sorry to the yelling guy for censoring his free speech. If it was all a bit, you did it too good. Everyone else has demonstrably been fucking lovely though, thanks squad. I've met some cool folk down there in the comments section. Mentioning this here, since these are the videos I feel like the subs are more likely to click on. But if you've left a lovely comment anywhere, I've seen it, and read it, and think you're a star. I'm getting distracted again. Oh, now this one's important. What is happening there? We, the Ubers, live in zones heavily irradiated by centuries of Hillyrian fallout, scattered all over the world. These so-called Uber zones are simply zones are avoided by everyone else, in part because radiation is bad for their health, but mostly for the extremely dangerous fauna and flora that lives there that only locals know how to handle or avoid. Are we roadside picnicking right now? Am I getting roadside picnicked on? Of the outsiders, only the zone-savvy stalkers. This is a roadside picnic. Good grief. Dare to venture into our zones, mainly to buy monster hides and sell tech. It is not uncommon for a black market's trading post to be located near a zone, but their prices on most goods are outrageous. For us, leaving zones for too long is quite lethal. Most Ubers get sick and die, and those who survive, known as Striders, lose most of our mutant powers. To safely operate outside of the zones, we must constantly consume irradiated drinks and food, making us unable to expand territorially, even if we wanted to. Oh, you know what? I was wondering why the build new base button was missing. It's because of the goop. We gotta eat and drink goop to live, so if you go somewhere with no goop, I get it now. You don't know how long I've spent looking at the base menu, just going, something's missing here. Both playing and editing the videos afterwards. Didn't consider the goop factor. I think this is a fairly recent change though. Probably put in place to stop people reenacting Garrus's last campaign. Sorry friend, couldn't resist. It genuinely might have been to stop people from expanding too early though. You don't normally have to actually look at the expenses screen in XCOM. I can see a lot of folk getting tripped up there. Well anyway, I hope everyone's up to speed. You know, from what I've seen, the story and writing are broadly the main things that get praise in this mod, and listen, I don't want to be a hater over here. I don't want to go James Nintendo nerd right now, but I don't see it. If we're going off pure volume of output, I'm right there with you. Mod contains a whole bunch of words. Having to fit everything into little passages in research notes and item descriptions on screens that are like 80% covered by nude ladies, so you just get like a little column down the side, well, that's certainly a serious constraint to have to work around. An interesting way to do it, if nothing else. Genuinely sounds kind of fun, actually, from a creative writing point of view. As for the actual content, only about 2/3 of the words are normally in the correct order, and the things they allude to are kind of gross trash. The other main source of praise is the fan service, which, I mean, come on, folks. We're all grown-ups here, right? Listen, I do respect that it's the boy's vision and he can do what he wants with his art. I genuinely wouldn't want to impose on someone else's creation. I'm just sick of hearing people talking about how brave Deoxine is for showing them a boob. Let's just move on.
Play Doom on Atari. I'd rather play Halo on a Tiger Electronic wrist game. I'd rather drown in diarrhea. I'd rather fucking eat my fucking
Back at Sexy
balls
Tomb.
off.
Oh yeah, that's what we called it. Kill me. The new recruits are in, as named by you, the people. This is Book. Whiskey Brown is on a campaign to ensure that every female character in a game is called Book, in all caps. I've since asked him what the deal is with Book, why Book is a girl's name in his eyes, and where the idea comes from. He said he couldn't remember. It's possible that he's channeling some kind of otherworldly force, the old gods trying to break through into our world through this simple, notary act. Alternatively, he is a silly man. Either way, I'm happy to be a part of this. Excited to participate. As a recruit, Book's time units are a touch low, but we can work on that. And she's fire at basically everything else. We also have Rob Wilson, who has apparently spent the intervening time since his battle rap career, which, hey, I think there's a pretty good video on over here on YouTube. Wonder who did that. Probably someone you'd want to like and subscribe to. Working on his aim and reaction stats. as well as becoming a cool lesbian. That strength is real low though, and that's normally the main one I worry about. Black Bess is a similar build, I guess, but has even less strength and some shockingly low stamina to contend with. This will impact her ability to use all those time units. She won't be able to run around much. Still though, 70 shooting and 93 melee from the minute she walked in the door. That's hardly bad going. Get this lady a pistol and a knife, stat. We also have Valiant Pigeon. Val gets 2 because that brought us up to exactly 4 name suggestions, and I like that they were in keeping with the correct pirating syntax. Pigeon's a crap shot, but she's very strong, and the rest of the stats are all pretty dang decent. Honestly, good batch of recruits we got here, I'm impressed. The gals we had already are better, but they've had a lot more time to practice. And these kids are gonna learn fast. Now, if you've got a really good memory, or if it's the future and you're watching this through the playlist, you might have noticed we've got a lot less money than we just had a minute ago. At the very end of the last session, I put in some orders for a couple of brainers, a bunch of runts, and some useless garbage. Can't remember what I wanted out of that last bit. Normally in XCOM, you'd want to max out your scientists because the research game is what keeps you afloat out here. You live or die by it. In Pirates, though, you really do have to be worrying about those end-of-month costs, and brainers are expensive as hell to keep around. I normally build up to them slowly, just 1 or 2 a month. That said, in Pirates, you also get bonus money at the end of a month for score, and science generates a lot of points, especially early on. I've even heard a few folks saying brainers can pay for themselves. Actually, I wonder. Okay, we're locked in. Time to find out. If we lose this campaign, you can all blame some random guy on a forum. He'll be fine, I'm sure. This could be considered a bad omen. Oh, look at this though, I got promoted! To gain the next rank, know your enemy and know yourself. Infamy target. Expectations rise. I think it's bad to be promoted actually. This could be considered a bad omen. This could be considered a bad omen. With 310 points in the hole and we haven't even moved yet. And $5,000. This could be considered. Can we cool it a minute with this? It's only the second. I'll take the bomb though. On the third, we have a research breakthrough in the field of tough girl. She also told us of beer. Apparently, drinking one of these so-called beers in battle will restore 20 energy and 8 stun damage. Beer is actually a pretty necessary item for gamers who run and use melee even more than I do. Energy's really important out there. It lets you move quickly, shoot bows, stab people, and block folk from shooting at you at 1 tile range. It'll run out before you know it if you're not wary, especially on an injured gal who naturally recovers less per turn, and I'll probably be happy about the stun recovery too. Beer takes up 2 inventory slots, so you likely have to pick between a bottle or a sidearm, with these early armors at least. But it's a genuine contender for that space, and if you want to go full melee, well, there's no real downside at all. I can't remember if it's 10 or 15 time units to drink, but it'll restore everything on the spot, and that is straight up something you can't do otherwise. Everything has its use here, and a lot of the loading out just comes down to understanding your options and picking the ones that speak to you, leading to a huge degree of personality and customization from one run to the next. You see, this is what people should be talking about when they talk about pirates. The ability to carry a beer in your pistol holster. We also learned about this tiny child, and by extension, about crack cocaine. Whoa, 50 energy? At once? Best not. Congratulations, everyone. We're still celebrating when the radar starts to chime. The shadow passing over us is obviously an Airbus, and, from the way they're flying, Academy. We load the new girls into our own craft and give chase. Let's see if we can still remember how to do this. The bus we're after touches down a little after nightfall. We're in ample time to catch him before they sneak off again. And this shouldn't take long. All of the new gals are here, and Panther doesn't want to waste the opportunity. She makes sure to land right by the opposing craft, in the thick of it. The doors open, and all the little maniacs spill out, looking for trouble. That's not quite an Airbus. That's not Academy either. They're not even armed. I think we might have just interrupted a civilian picnic in the French countryside, actually. It can be so hard to tell. Look, if on the overworld it's a little craft going at an unchanging 600 speed units, well, what am I supposed to think? Don't land if you're not the guys. Buck got that many stat points for firing a pistol once. It turns out on closer inspection that this craft was loaded up with jewels. Bit of a shame we wasted these girls' first mission on this. It's a sacred moment, you know? That said, maybe I don't actually feel bad about this one. And the staff are here. We should be blitzing through research for a little while now. I mean, we kinda have to be. We'll go bankrupt otherwise. You're not worried or anything, are you? From Colonel Klemborg. We meet again, Captain. You might not remember, but I was there when you signed up for this whole protection thing. I act as an envoy. I will let you on a secret they forgot to tell you. Governments stealing resources from each other. Guild and Academy stealing from governments. We feed you real-time global information about unwanted activity, and resource wars generate big spikes. Check your chats. All you really need is to scare them off. Small ships. They'll land twice. Okay, good intel, but you are aware that our armada currently consists of a single bus with no weapons, right? Why? Come on. Who put boobs on my charts? The graph here tells us how much the baddies have been scoring in what areas. This is going to directly reduce our score, and that's important, as getting really bad scores makes you lose the game. But they're never going to be sat doing nothing, so there's always going to be a degree of noise on here. In base XCOM, you never really need to look at this screen, although it's real handy for working out where alien bases are. The big mods tend to run a lot more point-heavy alien missions in places you're not looking, so make sure to check in here every now and again. We don't have a lot of options for charging off into the world looking for whatever's causing this right now, but that'll change. There is going to come a time when we can tactically intercept enemy missions. Look how fucking jacked this guy is. T-shirt looks painted on. I want to kiss him on his shining bald head. It is said that ruffians are more numerous than wild animals these days. You can find these guys in every part of the world, helping themselves to other people's possessions. They might be just lowly criminals, but times are hard, and they have to be hard as well to survive, so they should not be underestimated. They prefer the countryside to the busy and unhealthy cities. We're really giving it to these lowly criminals. Give them an eye patch and a peg leg, and then we'll talk. Look at that fat boy! We're being prompted to shoot things down a lot today, huh? Not only do we not have craft weapons right now, and getting those is a problem, the Airbus actually doesn't have mounting points for weapons. It is strictly a transport. Game's not lying about the turrets either. Turrets in this fucking game are the worst. Learned about this beautiful boy too. The item he gave us here is a Nazi dog whistle, referencing the Night of the Long Knives. We'll not be using them. Nope, got another. These guys apparently had the same idea as us, to become pirates. Desiring to strengthen their bodies, they gave in to the practice of consuming zombie flesh. While they succeeded in gaining great resilience, it ultimately caused degeneration. Now they're desperate for every morsel of Hilarium-tainted flesh, zombie or otherwise. At least that much we can divine from their barely articulate ramblings. Let it be a lesson to us, because, really, they're useless for anything else. Don't eat zombies. Gonna be a lot of research today. Sorry. We're kinda packed to capacity with new geniuses here at Sexy 2, and I wanted to get through some of the prisoners. Researching captives tells you about them and one other random thing from a list of stuff they might know. You can research the same type of captive multiple times to learn multiple things from that list. They're essentially loot boxes, and you can only hold so many at a time, so you just want to crack them open. You don't get the hostages back afterwards, but I'm sure the brainers are looking after them. Now we're talking. Another distress call. Can we even reach that? We'll work out what this means later. Hey, we can reach.
That's a regular trade. Far better than raiding household stuff, of course. Man ran up to the plane with a box under his arm and got in. He broke it out at once and climbed steeply. Somewhere high over the Pacific, they caught up with him and quite justifiably flew over their LABs. After the badges had docked away and the pursuers had followed them down the street, there was nothing left. But a trail of white vapor.
What is bashing?
Only it wasn't vapor. It was a cloud of across in their light that they even floated on that thin until they drifted down into the wind. For the first time I noticed that there were indeed three of them. And we had already discovered that the sting would kill them. We also discovered that if we cut the sting off, the trigger was time. No food, nothing.